Hello students, I am S. Srivaksan and I am assistant professor in Department of Naval Architecture and Offshore Engineering, and I am here to discuss about hull form and geometry of ship structures. Okay, the PPT, in this PPT, so what is the content is like basic knowledge about types of ships you will, basic knowledge about types of ships you will learn, and different types of hull forms in the ship structure and its geometry, and this is kind of an introduction course to the naval architecture subject as well. Now, books to refer, what books you have to refer is like E.C. Tupper, Introduction to Naval Architecture, which deals all the subsequent chapters after this lectures knowledge which you will gain. Now, next is like successor courses. With this course, what are the other courses you can study? So, the courses like Simpson's Rule by Y. Gopi Krishna, and Stability by S. Ramaswamy, and Equilibrium by Kolli Sujit Kumar, and these three courses were the successor courses for the present course. Now, outcome, what will be the outcome? So, one would able to differentiate and understand the types of ships and ships terminology with this lecture, and understand different representation of ships hull form. The basic naval architecture deals with three stages. One is design, construction, and then operation. So, design stage is like the factors influencing the design stages are speed of the ship, size of the ship, and the payload of the ship, and then range from where to where the ship is going to go, and sea keeping characteristics and maneuvering characteristics with stability. Of course, all these aspects cannot be very rigid, this has to be linear, and there should be a fluid interaction between these all the characteristic factors. So, the compromise is mandatory. Okay, the classification of ships by its usage. So, we can classify the ships by its usage as merchant ships, naval and coast guard vessel, recreational vessels such as passenger carriers, etc., and utility tugs like offshore supply vessels, and the vessels which are helpful for fishing and fishing marketing, etc., and then research and environmental ships, where the ships which are used to find the hydrocarbons and hydrofuels and beneath the seabed, and we can which helps us to extract and run the entire economy of the world, and then ferries. Okay, methods of classification, and it is like physical support. By physical support means how the ships physically, how the ship is going to be supported. One is hydrostatic support, hydrodynamic support, and aerostatic support. What is hydrostatic support? Hydrostatic means the ship is statically floats on the water, that gives you the hydrostatical support. Hydrodynamical means whether the ship is on very verge where your drag and lift was compromised, then that will be your hydrodynamic. And aerostatic means the ships which are supported by the air, whether it is on the surface or beneath the ships underground or underwater, that is supported by air, is called as aerostatic support. Now, the sea-going vessels are classified in hydrostatic, hydrodynamic, and then aerostatic, as we already discussed in the earlier slide. Now, the sea-going vessels are surface, surface effect, and subsurface, which is given in this slide, and the three major classification. One is by Archimedes principle, another one is by Bernoulli's, and another one is by aerostatic support. So now various types of ships are explained clearly in the slide, and I will just explain it. One is aerostatic support, which is like surface effect. One is air cushion effect, another one is catapult effect. So that is like air cushion vehicle and then caterpillars. And the next one is by Bernoulli, that is hydrodynamic support, that is by aerofoils and then planing craft, where your speed is very high, where the speed is more than Froude number 0.4, then that is coming under the category of Bernoulli, that is hydrodynamic support. Next is hydrostatic support, that is a conventional displacement ships, and then those are like special displacement ships, and those are like catamarans, multi-hull ships, and then deep displacement ships. These deep displacement ships are the conventional ships which is for the trading purpose only, where the water and the weight and the buoyancy is matched, where weight will be equal to the buoyancy, which gives you the Archimedes principle. As we discussed earlier, here in this slide we have different types of aerostatical support vehicle. One is air cushion vehicle, another one is surface effect ships, where the propeller will be on top of the ship, and then hydrodynamic support, which is aided by the Bernoullis, that is hydrofoils and then planing craft, and then you have your hydrostatic support, which is aided by the Archimedes, that is your conventional ships, catamarans, swath, and then deep displacement ships, and then you have your submarines and your ROV. ROVs are the remotely operated underwater vehicle, which is aiding the research in underwater field. So with the introduction, we are going into the ship's hull form and the geometry of the ship, and then a ship is a three-dimensional shape. What is three-dimensional shape? That is, it has an x-axis, it has an y-axis, and then it has a curvilinear structure which is in its z-axis. Okay, so that three dimensions together is called as three-dimensional shape. Okay, so and all the required data in a ship is given in x, y, and z-axis, as we already discussed just now, and all these data were put in a table called as offset table, and these data, a singular unit of these data are called as offset, and when I put all these data into a table, it is called as an offset table, and these lines are drawn in body plan, shear plan, and then half breadth plan, and the lines are drawn in three plans. One is body plan, shear plan, and half breadth plan. If I see the ship from its longitudinal direction, that is the shear plan. If I see the ship from the back direction or the front of the ship, it is called as body plan, and if it is an arrow view, that is an eagle's eye view, then it is called as a water plane or the half breadth plane. So the hull form representation, where the lines or the drawn lines are imaginary representation of the hull form, which aids in the designing and repairing of the hull's intact watertight body. So first is the traditional graphical representation of the ship's hull form, or the lines is the definition for the lines plan, and it has three views. One is half breadth, one is shear, and then body plan, as I just explained it. And this in the slide you have a pictorial representation of the x, y, and z axis of the hull form. So hull form representation with the sides, one is fore and then end, so which is body plan. Second is the top view, which is half breadth plan. Third is the shear, which is the side plan. So all these three views, you have three lines, three set of lines. One is horizontal line, another one is vertical line, and another one is a curvilinear line, that is called as curves. Now the horizontal line and vertical line are generally stations and water lines, and the curvilinear lines will be buttock lines in the shear view. Now the horizontal and vertical lines will be buttock lines and stations, and the curvilinear lines will be the water lines in the half breadth view. Now the horizontal and vertical lines will be the water lines and stations, and then the curvilinear lines will be the buttock lines in your body plan view. Half breadth view is the intersection of planes waterline parallel to the baseline. What is our baseline in the ship? Which is the keel. So keel is the baseline, as you can see in the picture. So the top line is your main deck, and from the main deck to the keel we call it as subsequent lines, that is subsequent water lines. So the keel will be water line 0, and then water line 1, water line 2, 3, 4, 5 till the main deck, how much it comes. And the design water line is the water line where the ship is required to float, that is the required draft or the summer load draft where the ship is going to achieve is called as your design waterline, which comes in one among the waterline. This can be intersection with the waterlines 1, 2, 3 or 4 or so on, or it can be a separate line which comes into this set of group waterlines. Now the shear plan is the intersection of planes, buttock lines parallel to the centerline plane. So what is the centerline plane? I have a ship and then I cut the ship in the center, and that plane I take it out and then I see that is the centerline plane. So the centerline plane will be like one plane and then second plane, third plane. I put all the planes together, I will get a complete curvilinear shape, that is my ship's hull. So that intersection of planes, that is buttock lines parallel to the center line, will give the shear view. Body plan. So the intersection of planes to define section lines, and section lines show the true shape of the hull form. That means I have a ship and then I cut my ship will be from forward, it will be narrow and it will become broad in the midsection, and in the aft it will become again narrow. So where it is narrow, where it is broader, how I will find it? I can cut the ship into pieces and every piece I can take out and then I can just see it like you are seeing an X-ray film. So in that piece I can see what is the shape of my hull. So where I can use what type of plate can be defined from this. Now forward sections, or from the midship, the forward part is called as fore sections. From the midship, the aft is called as after section. So table of offset, it is used to convert graphical information of a numerical representation of a three-dimensional body. That means what? X axis what is the value, y axis what is the value, z axis what is the value. I put it in one single table, that is the graphical representation, numerical representation of the graphical lines, that is the table of offset. Now list the distance from the center plane to the outline of the hull at each sections and waterlines. So what will be listed in the table of offset? What is the distance between the center plane to the waterline? What is the distance between the center plane 1 to the waterline 1, center plane 1 to the waterline 2, center plane 1 to the waterline 3, like that, center plane 2 to waterline 1, center plane 2 to waterline 2, center plane 2 to waterline 3. So that will be listed. There is enough information in the table of offset to produce all three lines plan. Okay, wherever you take a point from the center plane in any axis or in any plan, the distance should be same. That is how you can test the integrity of the lines plan. And an example of a table of offset, the distance from the center plane are called the offsets or half breadths at the distance. So in the slide you can see that the rows or the water lines and then the columns or the stations. So I give water line from 0 to 10 and stations from 0 to 10. So the cells which interacts from row and column is the like x1 y1 will be my water plane 10 and station 0, and water plane 10 and station 1 will be my x1 y2. Like that, every cell is an address for the graphical representation of the curves, graphical representation or numerical representation of the curves. Okay. So now we already read about what are the types of ships, and the types of ships are aided by Bernoullis and Archimedes and then aerostatic. And in Bernoullis we have hydrodynamic ships which are hydrofoils, and then we have your fast moving ships which have fluid number more than 0.4, planing craft, etc. Now in the hydrostatic you have swath, catamaran, multi-hull ships, and then twin hull ships, and then you have your conventional ship, that is Archimedes, which is guided by the Archimedes principle, that is like for slow ships which are having the fluid number less than 0.4, that is your conventional ships, and which is generally used for merchant purposes, and those ships use the formula weight is equal to buoyancy, which is the Archimedes principle. So those are called as displacement ships and then deep displacement ships. So moving on, after that what we saw about the lines plan. Lines plan is like we saw about half breadth, we saw about profile, we saw about body plan and various x, y and z dimensions in that, and then we saw about what two are vertical and horizontal lines and in which layer, which is called as the curves, and what are those curves we have explained clearly. Now we have seen about table of offset, etc. Now moving on to the basic dimensions, we have the terminology of the ships. So what is the terminology means? Terminology means defining the ship. So there is a worker on a ship, and then I call him and then I say him that go to some place and do something. He will not do, he will be messed up. So there should be a name for each and every single place in a ship, so that it will be easy for the workers to work over there. So that is where this terminology comes. It is easy for the designers, it is easy for the construction workers to do their operations. Okay, it is like naming the people. It is just like naming the people or naming the parts in your body. So we name the ship. So that is the terminology. Now starting with length, breadth, depth and then draft. Okay, what is the four main characteristics? That is length. So length is, you have your length overall. What is the overall length from the peak to peak is the length overall. Next length is length between perpendiculars. Length between perpendiculars is, you have your aft perpendicular, you have your forward perpendicular, and between these two lengths it is your length between perpendicular. Aft perpendicular generally goes into the rudder stock. Forward perpendicular generally meets where the first water contact with your hull, and then that forward perpendicular and aft perpendicular distance is the length between perpendicular. Design purposes we take it as length between perpendicular. Now third length is like length waterline, that is the length of the waterline where the forward point in the ship where your waterline touches, and the aft point in a ship where your waterline touches is the length of the waterline, that is LWL. Then you have your profile, then you have your body plan and breadth. In the breadth you have breadth molded, let me change the slide. You have your breadth. In the breadth you have your breadth, beam, depth and then draft. So what is meant by each definitions we will see. One is depth. Depth is the vertical distance measured from keel to deck, taken at amidship and deck edges in case of ship is cambered on the deck. Second one is draft. Draft is the vertical distance from keel to water surface. Next is the beam. The transverse distance across each section is called as beam. Now, the breadth is the transverse distance measured at the midship. That means I have my ship and this is the forward peak and this is the aft peak and this is the midship. Midship has the highest breadth. So if I measure the length, if I measure the length from this end to this end, I will get my breadth, maximum breadth. Depth, that is like this is my keel, this is my top deck. So from the keel to top deck, if I measure the distance, this will give my depth. Draft, this is, consider this is my ship and it is floating here, over here. This is my floating distance. So from the keel to the point where it floats, if I take the distance, it is my draft. So the next set of beam is, you have your freeboard, keel and then chamber. What is freeboard? Distance from depth to draft, that gives your freeboard. Freeboard acts like reserve buoyancy. What is reserve buoyancy? Take a bucket of water, take a mug and then you try to invert that mug on the bucket. Try to press that mug will not go inside. Why it will not go inside? Because the layer where the bucket is filled with water and the top layer of the mug has a air in between. That air will act as a locking chain in between, and then it will not allow the mug either to go out or it will not allow the mug to sink. Consider that mug is ship and then you have that ship is same like that mug's procedure. So now if there is some damage, that ship will not easily sink because of that buoyancy or the reserve buoyancy which the ship is having in between the waterline and the main deck. So that is called as your freeboard. That is called as your, that is aided by your freeboard and that is called as your reserve buoyancy. Now what is keel? Keel is the flat plate which is generally thick plate which is used for the backbone of the ship, which is used as the backbone of the ship. So the keel plate gives you the top a keel plate will give you an bottom, rigid, stiff bottom for the ship structure. Next is the camber. What is camber? Camber is the transverse curvature given to the deck. Why that curvature is given? So, now we already discussed about Archimedes principle, where the weight is equal to buoyancy. So, the buoyant force will react with the weight. The buoyant force will react with the weight. When the buoyant force is reacting with the weight, if addition of some more weight on the deck will try to sink the ship more. So, what should I do in the event of green seas, in the event of heavy rains, in the event of cyclones? The amount of water which entering onto the ship's deck will be more, and because of that water, what happens, the ship will tend to sink more. If it sinks more, then the ship getting more damage, so that the safety of life on the ship will not be assured. So, to make sure all these things, what should I do? I should give enough provision that the water comes on the deck should run off, that it should fall off from the deck, it should fall away from the deck. That is called as camber. So, camber is given for that purpose. Now, moving on to the flare and then tumble home. Flare is the outward curvature of ship's hull above the water line. So, why camber is given? Camber is given for preventing additional weight due to wind, water, wave and then rain on the deck. Now, flare is given. Why? Because to prevent the water coming out, from the deck. As the ship moves, it falls down. When it falls down, the flare will prevent the water which is going to enter on the ship's deck. When it is entering on the ship decks, what it happens? It will increase the weight of the ship. If it increases the weight of the ship, what happens? The buoyancy force will be disturbed. If the buoyancy is disturbed, what happens? The weight and the load and weight distribution, weight and the buoyancy distribution, load and buoyancy distribution will be disturbed. So, this is flare. Now, tumble home. Tumble home is the opposite to flare. Why tumble home is given? To give the volume. Why volume is needed? Volume will increase the capacity of carrying cargo, that is your tonnage. So, volume will increase your net tonnage and gross tonnage, total tonnage. So, flare will be generally given in the forwardmost peak of the ship. Why in the forwardmost peak? Because when the ship tends to fall down with higher waves, so the water should not enter on the main deck, so the flare is given. So, tumble home is given in the midship region. Why it is in the midship region? To increase the tonnage of the ship, tumble home is given. So, with this question, now you have the answer, that is labeling the following. Now, this has x, y and z axis, rotation and translation motion. X axis, that is A, which is here in the slide, alphabet A. So, from A to S, Q you have. So, first you go with A, that is rotational motion in the translation motion in the x axis, that is your surge, sway and then you have your pitch. Then go for rotational motion, that is D, E and F, that is your roll, list or heel in the x axis, trim and pitch in the y axis and then yaw in the z axis. After that you go for your distance between N and O, that will be your length between perpendicular, and then you are viewed from G is viewed from the distance, that is your body plan, and then I is viewed from the distance, that is your half breadth plan, and then your middle reference plane for longitudinal measurements, that is your midship, that is your center line of the ship. At the midship only what we do? We measure the maximum breadth, okay, as we seen in the previous slide. Now, from the forward reference plane for the longitudinal measurement is your longitudinal perpendicular. Now, the horizontal reference plane for the vertical measurement is your baseline, and now viewed from this direction, that is H is viewed from this direction, that is your shear plan. Now, then you have your water line and then your buttock line and then your section line, which we discussed in the lines plan category, that is the geometry of the ship. Now we have our aft range plane or longitudinal measurement, that is your aft perpendicular. You have your longitudinal reference plane for the transverse measurement, that is your center line. Then your width of the ship is your beam. So all these things will give you the basics of naval architecture, that is basics of your geometry, basics of your ship's plane, basics of your ship's view, and basics of the types of ships, etc. So with this course you will be able to proceed with UDNA 301, which is Simpson's rule, which is taught by Y. Gopikrishna, and then UDNA 503, which is stability, which is taught by R. Ramaswamy, and then UDNA 503, which is equilibrium conditions, which is taught by Sujit Kumar. So all these courses were the successor courses of this course. Thank you.